Hi guys, hi family. So before I get into this dream that I want to share, I would like to share that I do not claim to be an expert of dreams. I believe in every learning and being a student, you know, um I'm one of those people who humbles myself and allow for growth in my life. I forgot to constantly prune and mold me. So, I'm still trying to understand and figure out what this dream means myself. I'm praying about it. And I'm sure there are other people who are more matured and more well versed in spiritual things, who have more years ahead of me. So, but, I just felt this was something I definitely needed to share. And, but yeah, so yeah, I'll get into the dream now. Hi guys, so I'm back. It's me again, and I know I haven't done anything for a few days or posted for a few days. It was necessary. Sometimes you just have to take time out and seek the Lord and see what He is saying instead of just constantly speaking and But yeah, before I share my devotion for today, which I'm gonna have to do a different video for that because I wanted to share a dream that I had. So I've had this dream not once but twice, and um yeah, so this dream that I'm about to share, I've had it twice now, and it's one of those things whereby, if I had it once, I would have just sort of overlooked it and just left it alone. But I've had it twice now, and it's just been really puzzling me. I'm trying to understand what it all means. And then today at church, the reason why I'm sharing it is because I've already sort of posted it on the blog, but like putting it into video format is because today at church, I was talking with, one of, my mum friends from church, and, she's one of the intercessors, and, she flows in prophecy at church. And she mentioned about a dream she had, and it was identical to the dream I had. The only difference was maybe the put in bit, but the rest of it was, pretty much similar. And yeah, so basically, in this dream, there was a mass attack, and it was chaotic. People were trying to escape to the mountains and wilderness. It's one of those dreams where kind of you don't want to wake up to that kind of dream, but unfortunately, I don't know how to call it, fortunately or unfortunately, that's the dream I had. And basically, I had this dream, and like I said, I've had it twice. And in this dream, there was basically absolute turmoil and chaos as people were being captured. So as we were trying to escape to these mountains and wilderness, some people were falling off because it was quite a steep climb, and some people were falling off, some people were being shot. As we were escaping, there was an army coming behind us, and we were all running. And I remember I had my daughter, like I was holding my daughter's hands, and we were running together, and we were trying to escape together. And in this dream, I saw people I knew, some family members, people I didn't know. It was like chaotic. It was like just loads of people running towards the mountains. And, um, you know, like I said, like often I'm left puzzled and questioning, when I have these dreams, because I'm thinking, what do they mean? If I had it once, I'd have just sort of left it, but I've had it twice, and I feel they're interlinked because of how everything was happening in the other dream, and then the other dream, they're interconnected somehow. Anyway, I feel like prayer and preparation are a necessity in this climate because unexpected changes are coming and they will come rapidly. You know, um, there is darkness that is covering the earth, and we need to earnestly pray. I'm not trying to fearmonger and to scare people, but I'm just trying to warn you to prepare us so that we're not, caught off guard. But anyway, so, I had recently, it's not recent anymore, but by the time I did write my dream on the blog, I had recently visited my brother and sister-in-law. And, we were chatting. And on that Sunday was after church. So we finished church and I went to theirs after church. And, my brother-in-law said, I had a dream that Putin had died. We were talking about dreams and, things like that. And basically he had said, he had a dream that Putin had died. And he was so weird that the same day he had the dream that Putin died, I have the dream with the same, with a likeness of Putin, the guy in the dream, the man in the dream, literally, it was like Putin. It was Putin. What I saw was Putin, and it was weird because I've never met Putin in my life before, but as in Vladimir Putin, that is. But I felt his presence, like he carried him. I can't explain it, but I just knew it was Vladimir Putin, and he said, eventually you understand why, and I know it was him, as in the dream, and he said he in his dream he was walking and he saw Putin, in a casket. He had died, and but anyway, before he could finish his dream, obviously I've just told you guys what his dream was, but before he could finish his dream, I interjected and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I had a dream about Putin as well. For the second time this year, this was me telling him and, interjecting and stopping him before he could tell me what his dream was. And so, matter of fact, it was early hours of that morning on that Sunday that I had my dream, which was the second time of having that dream. And anyway, I allowed him to, finish explaining and telling us about his dream, right? And he explained that he was looking at putting in his coffin and he had a dark suit on. That's what he saw in the dream, you know. And after he shared his dream, I shared mine as well. And so I just want to blend both of the dreams so that you guys can understand why I feel they're related. So in my dream, I saw someone, like I said, in the likeness of Putin. He looked like him, conducted himself like him based on what we see Putin presenting himself as when we see on TV, on the news, that kind of thing, and like I said, you know, um, and then in this dream, a mass attack happened. It was almost like an invasion. I can't explain it. And we were all running to the mountains, and it was a steep climb, like I said. Others were falling off, as we were climbing this high mountain. And there was an army, coming behind us. As we were running to the mountains, the army chasing us were shooting. And as they were shooting at us, some people started falling off obviously because they were dying, and others were being captured in the dream. So I saw people actually being captured. And I saw many people that I knew, some even some others I didn't know, some family members. Like I said, I was with my daughter and we were running. I held her hand, and I was not going to let her go because obviously she's my girl, and I want to do everything I can to save her. And but these guns, the guns is what I want to talk about as well. The guns that the army was using, I've never seen before. And this is me, someone who's not well versed in weapons, so I don't know anything about guns either. So, but the guns, I only know about guns based on what I see on TV and things like that. But in this dream, the guns that they were using, the bullets were like they looked like an injection, like a syringe. And so yeah, when I say injection, I mean a syringe. Literally, the bullets that were coming out of this gun were like a syringe, and then inside this syringe, or injection, depending on what you call it, the bullets inside that bullet, it was like a liquid, and the liquid was like melted metal. I don't know if you've ever watched the Terminator movie, and there was that robotic character. I don't know if I should call her robot, but like that used to melt into a liquid metal and then form back. So the liquid in the syringes looked like that. And what was happening was when people were shot with this gun, and that liquid in the syringes, when it hit you, it was so precise, like it hit precise points on your body. I don't know how to explain it because obviously you guys can't see me. So, but it was, like precision. In precision, you guys know what precision is. And, and somehow I had been hit by this gun. And once you were hit, by this bullet with this gun, you were now called a marked one. They called you a marked one. Once you were shot with that syringe and that liquid, you were called a marked one. And somehow I accidentally got hit in the dream, and I still managed to escape. They didn't catch me. And as we were escaping, I saw this lady who rescued a kid, and she said she had a cure or something like that. It was all chaotic, so I'm saying it as best as I can remember. But I followed this lady quietly to this safe space and place that she knew about, and because she helped this little kid, and she took the little kid to help save the little kid, basically. And you know, once we got to that safe space, I then realized that I could no longer see my daughter. And I sort of started wondering, oh my gosh, what happened? Where's my daughter? That kind of thing. And then I decided to turn back, So obviously now I know where this safe space is. I'm like, I need to go find my daughter. And I couldn't see family members anymore that I had seen before. So I couldn't see them. And I was basically panicking and thinking, I need to find my relatives. I need to find my daughter. I need to find my family members, that kind of thing. And so I decided to go back to the mansion where it all started. So this is where the dream now started. At the big mansion, it was very huge, almost like a warehouse. It was warehouse-like, but it was a mansion. It was so massive. And this is where we were all hiding before the army attacked. And before we started running to the mountains. Anyway, when I arrived back there, at the mansion, I saw someone I knew. When you see someone even though I can't remember who it was in the dream, but I knew him, I felt I knew him, and he was sleeping in bed, and I can't remember who it was, even though he felt very familiar to me, and I spoke to him like a very dear friend, and I didn't tell him that I had been shot for my own safety, obviously, because, like I said, remember, once you were shot, you were called a marked one. I then proceeded to ask him if there was somewhere safe within grounds that I could safely hide. And, we got talking, and then he said to me, yeah, sure. And he told me, where I could hide within the properties on the ground because there were like places there, and he told me where to go. And as I was about to make my way down, but before I could make it all the way downstairs, someone shouted that Putin's men were on their way, you know, and I somehow managed to escape before they arrived. And then fast forward to the other dream, because like I said, I feel they're intertwined. So in the other dream now, we're in this place, but in this place now, it looked like a house, again, like another mansion, but within that mansion, outside the grounds of that mansion, it was a camp, and people were locked up. But before I get to the locked up bit, like camps, I don't know how to explain it, but before I get to the locked up bit, right? Now on this part, Putin's men were there, and Putin himself was there, but I didn't see him. I was like facing this way, but he must have been behind me or something like that. That's how it felt like in the dream. And you know, so Putin ordered his men. He was like, you need to scan everyone and find the marked ones. That's what he said. But the scanners had not yet arrived, so there was too many people, and they were trying to sort of like, when think of an airport when there's too many people and they're trying to get through the inspections to get people going through and stuff like that. Except in this instance, the scanners that they needed to, in order to detect if you were a marked one, had not arrived yet. So I remember hearing Putin's voice ordering the men, saying, just check them carefully and make sure you're attentive and very, very, basically observant to make sure that you don't miss anyone who is a marked one. So I just decided to play it cool, and I was wearing this cap, a black cap, and I was cold, and they started searching me, I complied, and they proper intently looked at me, and I remained calm, and they really scrutinized me to make sure, I was in one of the marked ones or whatever, they were just trying to ascertain that. But luckily, like I said, the scanners hadn't arrived, and they really observed me and eventually said I could go. I didn't waste time. I started making my way out to the exit. Now, as I was quickly trying to exit on my way out, like literally, it was so haste, because obviously in my head, I had family members to locate. Now you can see how these dreams are intertwined. However, as they were examining people, my college friend Audrey was in the queue in this dream as well, and she was refusing to remove a cap. She was wearing a cap as well, and they said to her, can you remove your cap? And she was refused. It was like, oh, I know my rights and I don't want to. She basically didn't want to comply. And all I heard was someone in the likeness of Putin, like I said, because he was behind me. I didn't see him, but I could, in the dream, I felt like it was him. And I can't explain it, but I know, yeah, what I'm saying. And, she didn't comply. And all I heard was, you know, what was it? Execute or exterminator, like basically get rid of her. And she was shot on the spot, no time wasted. Terminator. That was the word. Terminator. I like to say things the way they were. So yeah, I would have probably found it hard to move on from this part without saying the right word. But yeah, the word that was used was Terminator, and the men, you know, um, basically followed the orders, and she was shot on the spot, no time wasted. You know, um, the scenes in both dreams are very chaotic. I mean, people were captured and put in camps. Now, this is the place that I'm at, where I'm on about. As I'm leaving to exit, when I had been searching, thought I could go, as I'm exiting that place, I see people in camps locked up, and it it was as if something had happened, and people were captured and put in camps, and somehow in the same dream, fast forward to another bit, as I'm exiting, I'm now walking and I see people are locked up, and I said, I'm locking the gates that I could as fast as I could and helping some people escape and to be set free. I managed to escape with some people, and we escaped. And, as we escaped, we got to certain places where we saw people, you couldn't live without gas masks. Basically, you couldn't survive because it's as if something had happened in the earth, and in those places, people were living with gas masks. Otherwise, you wouldn't survive without it long term. Basically, that's what was going on, and there wasn't any plants growing, no life there. Let's put it that way. So there wasn't any plants growing, nothing like that. It was just weird. It was just the earth and the world had changed. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so we managed to escape, and as we were escaping, you know, um, we ended up at this place where people were living there without, and they were able to breathe and live without the gas masks. And the weird thing was, as we got there and we eventually settled, the guy who was there, like standing there, was a guy called Jack, who is a Sunday school teacher at church. And I saw him there, and he was tending to this plant. And, he was like, like when you look after plants and things like that, that's what he was doing. And he was looking after this plant, and he was, trimming it or whatever I can say. I don't know what he was doing, but he was really focused on this plant. And I was so taken. So I went to talk to him. I was like, we were talking because obviously we know each other. He's, the Sunday school teacher, and we are talking. And, he said to me, so, downstairs, there was a place downstairs of that place. It was like a basement or a bunker, like basement, sort of, so to speak. And there was endless food, like endless food. Like there was just food beyond your imagination that was stored up there. And I remember he said, so I saw someone who looks like my brother. I think it was my brother. He was going down to the basement to get some food or something like that. And Jack had told him, oh, can you get some food for the new arrivals? And then Jack started talking to me, and he was showing me this plant, and he said, God has given us this plant. You see all that food in the basement, even if all that run out, God has provided us this plant for sustenance. So this plant will sustain us. It will give us health. It will give us life. It will keep us going. It's food that God has given us. And he literally cut a little piece. I'm doing this now as if you guys can see me, but he cut a little piece like that. And then he was like, he put it in his mouth and he chewed. He was like, you see, just like that. Just this little piece will sustain us. You don't need more than that. This will sustain us. I wish I could remember what plant it was, but this plant, I see it in my head, but I just don't know what plant it is. I'm sure one day if I come across it, I'll remember. But that's what he said. He was like, God has given us this plant, and he says it will sustain us. And he was very repetitive about the sustenance and how God has provided that. And he was talking and showing me this plant, and he said, we only need a little bit of that plant like this, and he cut it just a little teeny weeny bit. Anyway, yeah, so like on the blog, I actually put it in, quotation marks to say exactly how he spoke. He says, it will keep us safe, sustain us, and give us long life. It's good for our health. And he said, even if we don't eat meat, this plant is good for our health. That's what he said in the dream. And anyway, within the confines of this place of safety, like I said, there was a basement with, plentiful food stocked up. And, he pointed out and said, even if that food down there in the basement finishes, this plant will keep us sustained. And he called the plant a plant that God had given us, and a little bit a day would go a long way. That was it. And but again, the guy in the likeness of Putin found out about this place and that I was hiding there together with some of the group of the people I had helped escape. I don't understand why this guy in the likeness of Putin was after me. I was highly wanted, and it was such a weird thing. So the guys he sent to come after us said, everyone who escaped with me. I'm trying to speak in the voice that I thought he was speaking it, but he was basically saying everyone who had escaped with me should just reveal themselves and line up before he starts shooting everyone. Eventually, I was captured because I was fighting and resisting and trying to escape. But eventually I was basically captured again, and they wanted to take me back to put into to go be with the marked ones. I don't know what they wanted to do with us, the so-called marked ones that they were calling us, but I am praying over this dream for clarity, so that I can understand the meaning, the meaning of it all. And I encourage you all to pray earnestly, because whatever is coming is not very nice. Don't be distracted. Stay vigilant and fear not, because God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So I encourage you to stay prayed up and be observant. Stay on your feet. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.